everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to another exciting episode on the Gist with Melody podcast. On this podcast, I bring exciting people, I bring amazing people to talk about a wide variety of topics, and today is no exception. Now, this is Workplace Culture Season 8 on the podcast, so make sure you let everybody know that another episode is here, and I am your host, Melody. Today, guys, I have an exciting person. This person is so dear to me, and she knows that. She is one of my childhood friends, I might add, and like we've been going, we don't date, say like Otikpe, it's been years, it's been decades, right? And I am quickly going to read her bio. Elsie Ugodo is a social media manager, a community manager, graphics designer, and business enthusiast. She currently works as the growth and social media manager for Ovalay Academy. She has experience that cuts across digital marketing, event ushering, people management, business management, and others too numerous to mention. She loves to learn and share her knowledge acquired through diverse industries. And when she's not working, you will catch her watching a movie or playing a game. So, without wasting time, join me to welcome Elsie. So today, we're going to talk about something amazing again on the episode, and it is before you resume that role. For those of you who are job hunting, for those of you who are seeking new opportunities, this is one episode that you should take really, really serious. Get your pen, get your notes. I mean, I have mine here already. I'm ready to learn from Elsie, as she's going to be dishing out a lot of valuable insights that you would need, guides that you would need before you resume that role. So Elsie, over to you.
Thank you very much, Melody. Thanks for having me here. Please, sometimes I might be switching from English to Pidgin English, so you guys should not mind me. So, thank you. Thanks for having me. Good day, everyone. So, what do you do before you resume your role? So, we're going to divide this section into two. Now, why we're dividing into two is because we have 2 stages, or rather 3 stages, before you begin the role. The hunting stage, the interview stage, and just before you resume. That's like the timing before you resume that role and your actual resumption date. So we are not going to talk about the hunting stage, but we're going to discuss about the interview stage. Let's say 2 days or 3 days before the actual interview. So now, this stage, we've already named it as the interview stage. So once you get a job interview, like you got an email that, okay, we've scheduled you for an interview for this role. Now, it's important for you to research the company. Sometimes the advert might not show the company. Maybe they're doing through a recruitment agency. But what you need to do is, in those cases, you should come prepared. You are the professional they're trying to employ. You should come prepared. They're going to ask you practical questions. They're going to ask you questions relating to your work ethics. Depending on the role, it might be hybrid. And if it's hybrid, they have to consider where you're living, the distance between, to see if it's convenient for them and also convenient for you, because you cannot be spending 2 hours in the morning trying to get to work and only for you to get there. Especially for those in Lagos can literally relate to this, because you wake up so early in the morning trying to get to your office, and at the end of the day you get to the office, you're so exhausted and you become cranky. It's affects for the day. So they will ask the questions relating to your locations and your expectations. Now, when it comes to your expectations, which is it's the benefits like your HMO, your data allowances, if it's a job that requires data, gadgets that will be provided, you have to ask depending on the role. Some roles do not give gadgets, some do. Tech roles most likely will give gadgets, depending the level the company is. Some big companies would, those starting up might not give you because probably they don't have the funding for that, and they are trying to work towards getting the funding. So that's like that. Now this is an example for if a recruitment agency was contracted to recruit the employer. Now if a recruitment agency was brought in for this, you most likely will be having 2 interviews. That's what, if you pass the one with the recruitment agency, then you move to the next. The next set might be actual tests, depending on the job you're applying, because some companies conduct tests, be it attitude tests and the likes. You might have to have practical tests. Maybe they want to see how fast you can execute a strategy, or how fast you can come up with a solution. So you have to prepare your mind for that. The thing about this kind of test is that not most company have past questions. I believe institutions like banks and the likes probably will come up with past questions for their tests. You can always research, you can ask communities if they've ever stumbled on one, to recommend one for you to review. But in cases where they don't have, you just have to go, just search wide. You can also probably send an email or something to ask that, is there pointers for the text? You can ask, definitely you can ask. Some people might not want to respond, but you have to actually make the move to ask. It shows that now you asking shows that you are the kind of person that if you don't know something, you ask questions. And while in a job, we found that some persons are in a job, they don't know what to do, and they still don't ask. They now tend to look serious. You don't know what to do, you have to ask. You're not cleared on what they have to. You have to actually ask questions. So that is that. So you have to research. But if when you got the interview email that you schedule for an interview, and it's the actual company that is actually running the interview, you have to actually go and do research. Check for them on Google. Go to LinkedIn. Check for them. So, like I said, if the email was sent from the company, you check out their LinkedIn, check out their website. You get as much information about what they do. You actually have to know. You have to actually research them to the point that you understand what the company is doing. You know the solution they are providing. You know the products that the category of products they sell, at least. So when you come into the interview and they ask you questions, let's say they ask you practical questions, that okay, let's say for example, a real estate company is wanting to interview me for social media management. Now, I have to know the location they operate in, which I can get by googling their company. I have to know what they are already doing. And give like a vague estimate of if it's actually working, if what they have currently going on is working for them. I have to know what they are doing wrong. Now, this doesn't apply to every role. Like a cashier, you cannot know what they are doing wrong there. As a cashier, you probably what you are going to be bringing to the table is efficiency, accuracy. So you have to be someone that, okay, for this to let's say for example a cashier at the bank, you're trying to attend to a lot of customers in a given period of time more efficiently without making any errors. Because when you make errors, it comes back to you. It's going to those kind of positions are very I would have used the word risky, but I don't think risky is doing justice to it. So you have to research the company, what they do. Then if they're bringing you in for a role, what most likely you'll be doing. I think the description on the ad should be able to cover this. So you are able to place yourself very well into the need of the company. So when you are talking to them, they're not interviewing for, let's say, a real estate company is interviewing. You are not using, let's say, a supermarket analogy to respond to their question. You want to give them an impression that, okay, you know your trade. You understand the company that is interviewing me what they do, and this is how I am going to fuse my expertise and what they need together in order to achieve the company's
I've
goal. So
lost
you have
you.
okay. So if it's a virtual interview, I recommend you log in to the meeting link 5 minutes, a minimum of 5 minutes to the time, because it shows that you are ready for the interview. You cannot be joining in after your interview. In a way, it kind of sets gives you a more confident start, because you don't come in and start saying, "Oh, sorry, I'm coming late." Then everyone's going to be, "Oh, you're
Mm-hmm.
here already." Okay. Then, if it's a virtual interview, ensure you're having that interview in a quiet place. If possible, if you can use noise cancellation microphones or headsets that have noise cancellation for audio, do so. That gives you, so that you don't have to be saying, "Sorry, please can you repeat yourself?" No, you are clear.
Mm-hmm.
You're hearing them clearly. They are hearing you clearly. You don't have to go what you've said a couple of times. Ensure that the network is not as frustrating as today, so that it doesn't kick you out on the interview and kick you back in. So
Yes.
you can run you can do a test run before interviews. Probably check the network which is best for you. Check the quantity of data you have available. Then, if it's a physical interview, though it depends on not all roles. Like, I'm in a tech space, so it's interviews are mostly done virtually in a tech space, mostly, except for certain companies who have not opened their mind to um, virtual meetings. Like, so if it's a physical interview, ensure you still get there as early as possible, because as, as much as getting there sets you, you get to rest. Moving from one distance to another can tell on you. It can spoil your
Yes.
makeup, it can make you sweaty and the likes, and you don't even know if the place you're going to has AC. So you have to go there, catch your breath, so that you don't go inside the interview and start panting and the like, and
Panting.
looking all rough and all that. So get there early, catch your breath. You can go over, you can probably use your eye to scan around the place, and if possible, in some cases it's not allowed, but you can ask questions about the company. Now, another key thing for those who are attending physical interview is you should be mindful of how you relate to people.
Mm.
Now, most times or in certain situations, your interview starts from the gate. Your interview starts from the gate. How you relate to it. I think I've heard a couple of stories that somebody was screened. It was the gateman's review, the security person at the gate review, that actually the person was good to go, but the attitude towards the security person was what made the person not get the job. The person was rude. The person was looking down on the security. No, if you happen to going to be working in a place where they value people, you don't get to talk down to people like they don't mean anything, irrespective of their role. So you have to be
Mm-hmm.
you have to respect whoever, even if it's a cleaner, and you should not be coming into somebody's office or coming into a business location, and probably maybe you were drinking Pepsi on your way and you just litter it on the floor. That is so
Mm.
unprofessional of you. You don't just do
Mm-hmm.
that. So you have to be those. You might see like, oh, okay, these things I've never heard somebody talk. As little as it is, it actually shows on your own. It gives an impression of who you are. Because if you can
Yes.
definitely, you're coming for an interview and you have an empty pet can with you and you just discard it anyhow you like. It means that when they recruit you and you're in your office, you can just eat whatever it is and leave your office littered. So that is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You have to so conscious of those things. You have to be polite. You can also ask questions and all that. If you feel you're getting anxious, that's why it's good to get there as early as possible. If you feel you're getting anxious, getting ready for your interview, then try and probably take a bathroom break. You can go to the bathroom, plug your earphones, and get to listen to something that makes you relax, maybe something that's funny that lifts your mind off the pressure of the interview. So now when you get into the interview and you've been asked questions, like now, aside from, sorry, I did add this, aside from doing research about the company, now, when you're doing research about the company, you should have an ideology of, okay, what do you think this person, because you definitely will go through the profiles of people who work there. So you should get, like, let's say, a big estimate of what they might be paying so and so person. So if you have an
Okay.
idea of what they're paying so and so person, you can be able to say, okay, this is the range, because not all jobs might indicate the salary range on the description when it's shared out. So this is what you should have. So in cases where they actually have those salary range written on the job, you can go, let's say 50%, let's say 50,000 naira higher if it's paid in naira. Then you can check for the regional estimates if it's a foreign job. Now, if it's a foreign job, and let's say, for example, you are in Nigeria, you're getting a role abroad. Some companies pay you based on, they pay you in dollars, but they're not going to pay you, they might not pay you as much as they pay somebody in the US who's working remotely for them. So you also have to consider certain limitations so that you don't get to go and say price and at the end of the day, this one is a thief. Or you can also throw it out there to them and say, okay, what's your budget? What's your budget? When you say, okay, my range depends on your budget, and I'll see if it's something I'm comfortable. So if they give you a range that doesn't fit you, you should not totally discredit their price. I'm sorry for the background noise. You should not totally discredit their price. You should say, okay, as much as this is your budget, this is the minimum I can do. You understand?
Okay.
You put yourself, as if you want to go ahead with your price, you can also, okay, I can do this for, let's say, a period of 6 months, and at the end of 6 months, I'm looking to get a review for a certain percent review of my pay and all that.
Okay.
And another thing that is important when you are in this salary negotiation period is that you should always know your net pay. There's a difference between your gross and your net. Your net is your take home. Now, your net is after removing all the tax, after removing all your pension and the likes. If they deduct insurance and the rest and everything, how much they don't. So you mean that money you take home that they don't get to remove any other thing. What enters your account at the end of the day, that is your net salary. So if you see an ad and they tell you gross salary is, let's say, ₦1 million, you're not going to get ₦1 million a lot. You're going to get a deduction. You might get deduction. You definitely get deduction for taxes, health insurance, pension, and the like. So after those certain deductions, what you get home, you have to clarify that so that you don't get to shoot yourself in the leg and say, "Oh, okay, this is this." Now, not all companies are going to give you benefits. So you have to decide, okay, if I'm not getting so and so benefits, how much am I willing to get? Now, it's also important that with the pay, you also have to calculate. When you've done your research, you should know if where the company is located. Calculate the estimate it will cost you on a monthly basis if it's an on-site job for transportation.
Okay.
Because most of the time we have companies having staff who leave or who at the end of the day stay so long they can't leave because probably they have not yet seen something better, but they are not happy. It's telling on the quality of their work. So if you do your due diligence before getting in there and you calculate and know, okay, this is the amount they are looking to pay. Let's say this is a minimum. Okay, it's going to cost me so and so amount to cost me so and so amount to get to work on a monthly basis. Now, with that, you're able to calculate and say this is the minimum I'm going to be taking, because you have to consider other factors. Aside from transport fare, you also consider feeding. So you have that. And if it's a tech-related companies, are they providing data for you? Okay, great. So if it's a tech profession, like a tech role. You have to know if they're providing gadgets for you or as well as data, because a tech role, definitely you need data. Are they giving data allowance? If they're not giving data allowance, what do you think that job will cost? What quantity of data would you have to spend for that particular role in a month? So you have to factor that. So it's more like, okay, I don't know if we've talked about budgets and financial planning on the gist of Melody. If we haven't, I think probably Melody will have that in the future. So in budgeting, you have to consider your costs, your cost of living, your cost of, in this case, doing that job. Now your cost of doing that job includes your transportation, if it's an on-site or hybrid job, your cost of data, if it requires you to use data, and your cost of feeding, because you cannot be in the office and you'll be so hungry and you will not be productive. You just be cranky and the like. So you have to consider that. Sorry, you have to consider that. Now, once you've considered that, you are able to get a million. Okay, let's say, for example, I'm going to use in Naira because I'm in Nigeria. Let's say
Okay.
you're going to be working an on-site job, and the estimates you've done calculation. Let's say it's a Monday to Friday job, and you have to go to work every day. That's on site. Yeah. So the estimates you're going to spend on just transportation is 30,000 naira. You cannot be applying for a role that pays you 45,000 because
True.
it is not practical. As a human being, you have needs. You have, even if you are squatting with somebody, even if you are staying with your parents, at a point you have to move out. You have to have certain projects. You have to do certain things. You have to achieve certain goals. Even if as a lady you probably might see someone that will foot your bills, though I'm not one to buy that kind of lifestyle because I enjoy making my own money. So you have to consider that even as a lady, even someone is footing your bills, you still have to make your hair, you still have to buy your sanitary wear. So you cannot spend 30,000 naira. Yes, some persons have done that. I have done that before. I've been in a job that I
Yes.
was working Monday to Saturday, and feeding as well as transportation was eating deep into my salary to the point that I could not even afford some basic things I needed for myself. I was literally not making my hair. Like making my hair required me to save like a ton of money. And if I want to make hair, I have to make a hair that I can use for, let's say, 6 months or even more. So you have to consider those things. And yes, depending on your level, on your skills, depending on your experience, you might not get the opportunity to ask for more. So you have to be strategic about how you apply or the kind of roles you apply for. That's the reason I
Yes.
love the tech space. As in the tech space, as a designer, I can work remotely. I can strictly and confidently look for jobs that offer. Okay, so even as an entry level person, I can actually get a job that is remote. The pay might not be as good as somebody who has done it like me for. I've been in that space for over 5 years. The pay is not going to be as good as mine, but at least you don't have to work from you don't have to work from you don't have to go to the office every day. You probably, yes, sometimes the roles might be hybrid. You probably have to come to the office 3 times a week or 2 times in a week. But I still can work from home. But in cases where you have a job or you're applying for a role that you can, because there are roles that you cannot work remotely. No matter if everybody goes most business, you still need somebody at a cashier to attend to your customers and pack their
Yes.
orders. You still need someone in the bank to receive your money, because not all ATMs, not every. The fact is that not everybody is as educated as people. Not everybody is there. Even we that are educated, we have people who are more educated than us, and we have people who are not as educated as us. So it's life. Everybody's at different stages. So businesses have to cater to every sector, every level of people. So that is one thing. So you have to consider if it's an on-site job or a hybrid job. You have to consider, okay, this is it. Now, yes, you might decide to consider to because most jobs they require experience. So you might have to throw in 6 months to a year on a particular role. just so that you get that experience in your CV. It's understandable if you want to make that compromise. That's not a problem. But I will always recommend that you get the role that is closer to that role closer to you will save you way more stress. So you have to put those factors
Yes.
in mind. And yes, not every time with the companies around you put out for would want people in to their company. Like, they will not every time companies around you will be recruiting. So you just have to be as alert.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be as alert. You can put yourself out there and the likes. So I believe that some persons might have the issue that, oh, okay, I've never worked anywhere before. How do I do
Mm-hmm.
it? How do I gain experience? The jobs I'm seeing, they require certain levels year of experience and all that. So now,
Mm-hmm.
most cases, depending on the role, you can decide to offer internship roles or part-time roles to certain companies. You can reach out to
Mm-hmm.
any of those businesses and say, okay, sir, I just finished from school and I would like to be an intern in a company or so and so department so I gain experience. You don't have to maybe pay me the whole salary. You can probably sort out my transport fare or you might sort out my this and that. So you put yourself out there so that you can be able to. So basically, I think we've covered most of it. That's the question before you start. You make your research. Now, you've gotten the job.
Yeah.
You've been called to resume the job. Now, what do you do? Now, prepare yourself. Reach out to the HR person. Is there anything I need to prepare for on my first day? Or because some persons you can start your onboarding before your first day. Some persons you have to wait for your first day to begin your onboarding process. So once you do that, you now have to. If it's an on-site job, they're definitely not going to pay you before you start work. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
provide raise funds to cover your first month of transportation. Ensure that okay,
Mm-hmm.
you have your clothes set out because I not everybody might be work ready wardrobe wise. You have to actually prepare yourself to be work ready. Depending on you can also ask questions on what's the dress code if there's a dress code in the company. So you prepare yourself in advance before that. Because when you start
Mm-hmm.
working most times you might get so exhausted wanting to go to the market to shop for certain things. So you can prepare yourself, ask
True.
the right questions. And so that okay, when you come to resume, they know that okay, this person is serious. I've recruited persons before, and I know how frustrating. Like I really envy people who are HROs. Like I really envy them because it takes a lot of patience to be an HRO. I have reviewed
Yes.
CVs, I've reviewed
Yes.
portfolios. I have even had to work with people. Like I have people under me, and the level of nonchalantness. Nobody likes that. No company likes that.
Mm.
Some persons get fired after a month because of their nonchalant
Mm.
attitude. They're just leaving you for a month. So it depends on the company. Some companies are that considerate to leave you for a month. That month they're giving you every week they're giving you a chance to change, a chance to change. At the end of the day, they don't see your changes. So why should they continue paying you money? So you have to
Mm-hmm.
whenever you apply for a role, take it that if you are given that role, you are given an opportunity to impress them every single day on the job. So you get to that point that okay,
Mm-hmm.
you impress them to the point that even if you want to take some time off, maybe you're sick, they don't get to nag that oh, right?
Yes.
You can. There are some companies you work for, and you might be sick, maybe a slight. Let not say even slight headache because people slump from headaches. You're saying you're having a
Mm-hmm.
headache. They're still not giving you everything. You still have to deliver on your tax. They don't care. It's not because they don't want to care. It's because they've seen persons who have abused it before you came in, or they've seen you yourself
Mm.
abuse it. So you have to say, okay, I am going into this job to prove myself, and not just prove myself, but to create a credibility to the point that they get to let me be when I actually need to be. That when you apply for leave,
Mm-hmm.
they say, okay, this person deserves to get a leave. Don't give your recruiter the impression that why am I wasting my money paying you salary? Never give yourself you have to actually prepare yourself for the commitment. That's why you have to put all this into consideration when you're getting a job because as much as you need to be paid, they actually need you to do your job. And
Mm-hmm. Yes.
nobody everybody loves a staff that does their job with little or zero
True.
supervision. I don't have to come and tell
True.
you that, oh, you've not done this, oh, you've not done myself. I hate nagging. So if you are under my team and you're not delivering, I ain't gonna complain. Am I complain to you a couple of times? First time, second time, don't expect a third time. Because I've zeroed my mind on you, and once I get the approval to change you, I'm going to send you a firing letter and let you go. Because honestly, I should not be the one to come and nobody needs to come and wake me up and tell me that I need to do my job. I wake up in the morning and I know that I have to do my job, because my job is what gets me food on my table. It's what gets my account green. Even though the account can go red, it gets it green and for it to be able to go red. So nobody needs to wake me up to do that. You are not doing your job, and you are the one to disturb your boss for salary at the end of the year. Like, really? For me personally, some people might say, oh, I did the work. I did the work. You did the little work. You did the barest minimum, or what is even worse than the barest minimum. And you have the right, the audacity to demanding for salary that your salary is late. No. You actually have to sit yourself down before you resume that job and say, okay, I am going to work to the point that when I say I need something, they get to respond to me, because they see that, okay, I'm worth it. Yes, there are some companies that
I
abuse,
can't hear you again.
or there are some companies that do not value committed employees. That does not give you
Elsie,
the
are you
right
here?
to stop doing what you do. Because, for example, I've worked in a place, and
Hello,
as much
Elsie.
as I wasn't earning my worth based on the quantity and quality of work I was doing, it did not say, I did not tell myself that, oh, if that's the reason I should be laid back. No. At the end of the day, due to the commitment people saw I was putting into that particular job, I was getting referrals to the point that I was the one like, oh, I can't do this.
Unfortunately, guys, this is where I will be ending the recording, because despite all we tried to do, the network was either logging me out, logging me in, logging Elsie out, logging her in. It was a lot. As much as I tried to salvage the rest part of the recording, it just wasn't working. But I hoped that from the discussion that we had, you were still able to get a thing or two from all that she has said, especially for those of you who are currently either job hunting, or you're in the stage of an interview, or you're just about to resume your new place of work. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast, this episode. Make sure you join me next week for another episode. No, I am not allowing this. I am not allowing it to stop me. We will continue workplace culture, and we'll have another set of guests in this season, in this episode, another episode for workplace culture. So make sure you let everybody know that the season is still currently running, and I will see you next week. Until then, bye.